Hi everyone, I hope you are enjoying your day. Welcome to the living room. Today we are going to talk about the beautiful Phalaenopsis dendrobium. Now this one here is a no ID, but look at the blooms. And if anyone has an idea of which one this might be, and there are several that look almost like her, leave them in the comments below so I can go check it out and see if we can't identify this beauty. I love this lilac splashing here, and then look at her throat. Look at all the detail in there. That is just gorgeous. Now, I've had this one since 2020. She did bloom, and I did buy her in bloom. She did bloom for me last year in 2021 off of this cane here. And then she's bloomed for me again this year, 2022, off of this latest. So her cane for 2022 is about the same size as her cane for 2021, but the 2021 cane is much bigger than the 2020 cane. When I got her in bloom, this growth here was just starting, so I enjoyed her blooms for a little bit, cut the blooms, repotted her, and as one does, we repotted her to the edge of the pot. Well, lo and behold, edge of the pot, my 2021 growth was going. So I took her out of this, not this one, but I took her out of her previous setup, and she's been in this clay pot with just small fir bark since December of 2021. And I did repot her as this new growth was producing its roots. So I put her in the center of the pot. I have learned my lesson on putting orchids to the edge of the pot because you just never know where you're going to get your growth. I know the rule of thumb is you put the oldest part as close to the edge to give growth space, but then when you end up with a new growth back here, then you have to repot, disturb your orchid again, possibly set her back for another year. So to avoid doing that, I start putting them in the middle. This was actually a bigger orchid than what you see here. So here she has 4 canes, and this is the other portion of her. This one also had 4 canes. Why do I have them in separate pots? Well, when I went to repot her in 2021, December of 2021, there were 2 in there. I don't know if I broke her because I don't remember 2 when I put her in her old setup. Either way, I said, well, and that's back when I was getting into growing in leca. So this one is in a leca setup, self-watering, and I did have her outside for part of the growing season. And when I put her out there, the grasshoppers really enjoyed her, as did the sun. I gave her way too much light way too soon. But this new growth had started when I put it out there. Kind of stalled a little bit, but since I've brought it back inside, this new growth has really taken off. She does have root tips that are going down into the pot. And let's just take a quick look and see. I don't see any roots on the outside, but you can see the wick there. And what I do is I let the reservoir dry out, and then I put just enough water in there in order for the leca not to dry out completely. And then once that empties, which is getting quicker and quicker, so there are roots in there because it's absorbing the water much quicker, I would say I'm having to change the reservoir probably every 7 to 10 days as opposed to every 12 to 14 days. So she's getting some roots in there. Now, this new growth here is continuing. She has a new leaf here. Now, I'm wondering if that is going to be her terminal leaf, because generally they'll do 4 to 5 leaves and then stop. For all the stress she went through, I'm pretty proud of the fact, let me do this, that new growth is almost as tall as the previous growth. So these 3 back here, the 3 oldest, she did have when she came with me along with this one. Now, both of them get the same amount of fertilizing. They both get 300 parts per million during the growing season, which is March to September, October, depending on where you are and how your weather is, and of course where you grow. During the non-growing season, for the month of October, which is my idea month where everything starts either slowing down or stopping altogether, everybody gets flushes all month long. If you're interested to know the whole process behind that, I'll link the video below so you can go check that out. But at the beginning of November, I will start fertilizing again, and all of my dendrobium type Phalaenopsis, which I think I have one more. Nope, it's an antelope dendrobium. Either way, all of my dendrobiums, orchids in general, will get a lower feed between 80 and 150 parts per million. And this way, they don't build up any salt deposits over the non-growing season because they don't grow as quickly. Even here in my very controlled environment, which is my living room in Denver, Colorado, I do use supplemental lighting for some things. Now, she initially, when she was a whole plant, was being grown under this shelf right here where you see all the Cattleya. But then I started getting more Cattleya, and I started getting more of the bigger girls, and some of my smaller girls were getting bigger. So I needed that real estate. So I moved this one to that little empty corner over here. So she gets bright shaded light. It's not a really bright corner, it's more of a shaded corner. I do have a grow light up at the top, but it is strategically positioned towards certain orchids, so she does not have anything like directly on her. So at first, I was thinking she wasn't going to bloom off of her latest cane simply because, again, the repot, and then the change in lighting. So these guys do not need a lot of light, like some of our Cattleyas need that really bright, hard light to bloom. This one will bloom in bright shade. And I have discovered that they are very drought tolerant. They don't require as much water as we would think they do. There was a month to 6 weeks where none of my orchids received any water for various reasons. And this one did not skip a beat. She's like, yeah, whatever. She just kept growing. None of the leaves shriveled. None of the leaves fell off. She was just fine. So they're very drought tolerant. As far as temperature, they are warm growers. They do prefer it to be on the warmer side. However, you can grow them intermediate, such as I do. My ambient my ambient temperature in the living room is roughly 75, 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And as far as humidity, they don't really need a lot of high humidity either. The humidity in my living room is anywhere from 35 to 40% on average. So very easy orchid to grow. If you see these in the flower shop, because they do sell them, especially around like Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Easter, you know, those days where we go and buy Our Lady's flowers, you can find one of these. I found this one, I believe, was at Trader Joe's, or was it Lowe's? It might have been Lowe's, one of those, but it was a local shop. So they're easy to find. They're not very rare. And if you want to get you one. Very easy to grow, as I've said. Let me know if you have any. How do you care for yours? Comments below. We'll see you on the next one.